What's going on, everybody? So today I'm going to be talking about the new upcoming album from Mentalist. The name of the album is Empires Falling, and this comes out September 16th. But y'all know, before I get into that nitty gritty, let's check out the cover. So boom, there it is. Take a look at that. Great power metal album cover, in my opinion. You know, it just looks really cool. You got that fella sitting there, the mascot looking dude, and playing some sort of like a chess kind of game, it looks like, with somebody else who's unseen. You know, it's almost as if it's the listener or whatnot, like we're in the perspective of playing this match with this fella. It's pretty cool the way it's set up. They're in some sort of like a courtyard, like a castle courtyard, and then on the side you kind of see like some storm clouds kind of rolling in, like over top of the. It just looks really, really cool, and it's colorful, and I like the perspective, the point of view. It really kind of draws your eyes in there. And with their band name emblazoned up on the top, Mentalist and Empires Falling, and you kind of see him flicking over what looks like a big castle, like an important piece of this game or whatnot that they're playing. So it just really, really cool looking cover. Definitely catches your attention if you're looking through the CDs, the CD shop or record shop or what have you. And it definitely gives you, it definitely conveys what kind of sound to expect on the album. Like you'd be hard pressed to look at that and not expect power metal. It's really as simple as that. I definitely give the cover an A+ on both fronts. Like I said, it looks like a power metal cover, and with a little bit of fantasy elements. Granted, it's not like a Rhapsody of Fire type of deal or something like that. It's more like the melodic power metal without the big, sweeping orchestral sounds and stuff like that. But still, at the end of the day, you wouldn't be surprised by what you get when you listen to it. So I dig the cover, good stuff. Let's talk about the album now itself. This bad boy's got 13 tracks on there and comes in at about an hour and 7 minutes, which it runs a bit long, in my opinion, and I'll touch on that a little bit later. But what you can expect from this, if you're not already familiar with Mentalist's style, is it's a very melodic power metal. The emphasis is really on the melodies and things like that, both musically and vocally. So there's it's just oozing with catchy melodies in the chorus and even outside of the chorus. And again, whether it be the vocal melodies that you're wanting to sing along with, or just like the tune of the music with the guitars that you're tapping your foot to. Just really, really well done, on the melody side, because every song kind of has its own persona, and there's an energy to the music that Mentalist brings to it. They really kind of have a signature sort of sound, and I think it's really in the presentation, the way that they present themselves. So, I always admire that when you're able to kind of have this unique sound or this unique persona or vibe about you. And I think it's just in the energy and, again, just the way that they present themselves. It can be quite infectious at times, to say the least. But musically, the highlight here, or the main focus, is like with the dual guitars. The two fellas just do such a really great job, weaving in and out of each other and providing the rhythms, and then the other doing some more like technical melodies alongside that. And so it really is fun to listen to the guitars. It's almost as if they're playing, well, I mean, obviously they're playing the guitars, but I mean, like, the music, the guitar melodies is like they're very like playful, like with each other, it seems like, and the way that they kind of go hand in hand and weave throughout the songs and really provide kind of the backdrop melody. It's just really, really cool, and it's kind of a unique sort of deal. when you're listening to it the way that they do that. That's one of the most enjoyable things I would say about Mentalist and their style and this album is, again, you get some really, really great riffs, rhythmic riffs, kind of just providing that good pacing. And then the other one is kind of doing this, more of a melodic sort of playing, in the background, a little bit more of like a technical kind of thing. And then there's times when they're both kind of going back and forth, doing like little solos or little. It's just a lot of fun, playful guitar work going on here. In and outside of just the rhythms that are providing the pacing for the song. So guitar work is just really, really great and just a lot of fun to listen to. And the drum work is really, really solid as well. There's moments where the drums just really, really shine with some great fills. And, there's moments where there's, interesting little shifts or tempo changes, and the drummer does a really good job of playing with that and all that, so that's really solid as well. And then they have guests that kind of play the bass and the keyboard. The keyboard's not too prevalent. You kind of hear some keyboard occasionally throughout on some songs and whatnot, just adding a little bit of a flavor, and it's nice when it shows up. And the bass work is solid as well. In particular, one song, which I'll talk about a little bit later, just gnarly bass work is. But yeah, like I said, I'll talk about that a little bit later. And then on top of all this, you have the vocals, and he's just got such a great voice. And again, a really great energy to his voice, really great range, and again, there's almost like a playfulness. There's something about them that gives them a kind of like a signature sound, all around, musically and vocally. And so it just creates this neat little dynamic, this neat little, again, somewhat infectious quality to their music, to their songs. But yeah, the vocals are just really, really solid. It's always a pleasure to listen to his voice, and his delivery is solid. And again, the vocal melodies tend to be very catchy, very sometimes anthemic, and just you're tapping your foot and you're wanting to kind of like sing along, and you're really jiving with the melodies here. Again, that's the key word here, is just melody, just very, very melodic power metal here. So that's really the sound that you're looking at. It's pretty grounded. There's moments where the scope gets a little bit larger, but it's pretty grounded. It's not like, again, it's this massive bombastic sound or anything like that. Pretty grounded, with the two guitars doing the majority of the musical work and providing the musical melodies and all of that, and then the vocals, kind of moving about, giving a little bit of a dynamic or whatnot to the music, with just a little bit of movement, I guess, is what I'm saying to the songs. So yeah, both verses and choruses tend to be quite catchy. So that's really the nature of the sound that you'll get here on this album. And so yeah, it starts out really strong here with Solution Revolution, possibly my favorite song on the album. It starts out real kind of melodic, and it kind of builds up into the song, and just a really great song, full of energy, full of great, great melody, and a nice little punch to it, and just really, really solid, kind of gets you excited for the album. I was like, oh man, yeah, I'm really digging this, and it moves into track 2, Stairs of Ragusa, which again is very melodic, very catchy, and again, just a really, really solid song. And this really kind of carries all the way through. I really was enjoying it. Yeah, very consistent. Everything felt cohesive. All the songs and all of that. Each song had its own little flavor and personality, but catchy and melodic. And it goes up through track 6, Columbus, which is one of my other favorite songs, I would say, on the album. It just, again, it just uh, the melody, just the melodic nature of it, just really, really, it just really enjoyable. And anywho, a really great song. And then you get track 7, which is a goofy one, Noah's Ark, but it's just fun. It brings a smile to your face, and it brings a feeling of like levity to the album, and kind of just a carefree sense. And, it's really, really neat, and just, again, just a really fun song. And Generations Legacy, track 8, in my opinion, is the perfect culmination of tracks 1 through 7. Like, Generations Legacy is a really, really solid song, and the tone and the feeling of it, it really would have served as a great end cap to the album, in my opinion. It just, with the Noah's Ark being the penultimate song, just kind of being fun and whimsical and whatnot, and then ending on like a little bit more of a serious tone, and just it just really, really solid song. And again, it just feels like it would have been the perfect end cap to the album. It would have provided a great cohesiveness, a great just um, the length would have been just right. You would have It just would have served, I think, the album really, really well if that's where they had stopped. And sometimes less is more. Because in this case, after Generations Legacy, which such a good song, and you just feel like fulfilled from the album, because everything just works together up to that point. But then track 9, you get Heavy Metal Leia, which is it's just a weird song. And in my opinion, it's not not my favorite song. It's not just very repetitive, and the melody just doesn't really jive. So it just kind of drops from being a really solid album, and up through Generations Legacy, which is just a really awesome song. And then it goes to Heavy Metal Leia, and you kind of just feel like, oh man, it just didn't quite do it for me. And then it goes into the song Out of the Dark, which isn't a bad song, but it it has a different feel than the whole rest of the album. It's kind of like moody, and it just doesn't have the same feeling as the rest of the album. It feels kind of out of place, and that's really kind of where I'm getting at. It is everything after Generations Legacy just kind of feels out of place. Like it doesn't belong on this album. It doesn't fit with tracks 1 through 8. Because then after Out of the Dark, you get Years of Slavery, which is a very serious song, and is talking about, through the eyes of a slave and their family and whatnot, being brought over to the U.S. to work like in the cotton fields and all that stuff. And it just, in the context of the rest of the album, it just doesn't quite land. Again, it's not a bad song, but it's hard to appreciate these tracks because they don't. It just feels like you're listening to a different album, kind of. I feel like they should have saved these songs perhaps for a different album where they would have kind of fit in with the sound a little bit more. And then apparently tracks 12 and 13 are considered bonus tracks, but they're here. So, but Forbidden Fruits kind of follows in the same suit as the aforementioned ones, where it just doesn't quite jive with the sound of the rest of the album. And the track 13, this is the one I was saying where the bass work is gnarly. This is just like a groovy, really weird kind of song. It's almost like experimental, but it's got a sick guitar riff, and the bass work and the drum work is just nuts. And it's just such a bizarre song. I can't help but love it. It's not the kind of song that'll be for everybody, but every time I listen to it, I'm just like, oh, I'm grooving with it, and I just have a smile on my face. I kind of chuckle because it's just so weird. So that song, if you want that to be like your bonus song, I think that would have fit if you just plop that right after track 8, Generations Legacy, and then end on like the weird little kind of Bumblebee song at the end, just on a nifty little note. So basically, what I'm getting at here is I feel like tracks 1 through 8, and then make track 9 Bumblebee. Great album. Great album. Take tracks 9 and 12 through 12 and just, I would say, get rid of Heavy Metal Leia entirely. But Out of the Dark, Years of Slavery, and Forbidden Fruits, uh, perhaps put them on a different album where they would match the sound, because you kind of like start losing interest because it just doesn't fit in the context or the sound of the rest of the album, in my humble opinion. So I kind of, it feels just out of place and a little bizarre. So if I was the one producing this, or editing it, or whatever, that's what I would have done. I would have taken tracks 10 through 12, set them aside, and say, let's see if the next album, we have a sound that we can build around these songs, instead of kind of having this weird shift in feeling and context and sound that just doesn't jive with the whole rest of the album. I would have taken those out. I would have gotten rid of Heavy Metal Leia, and like I said, made track 9 Bumblebee and ended it there. And that would have been a solid album. And even with removing all of those songs, and having just 9 tracks, it would have come in at about 44 minutes. I did the maths. So a 44-minute album of 9 tracks, solid, solid. And it would have been an incredibly solid album, in my humble opinion. I don't like to throw numbers out there, but I probably would have given it like the album maybe like an 8.5. If I had to do a number like out of 10, maybe like an 8.5. Whereas as it stands, I'd probably give it like a, I don't know, 6.5 or 7, maybe 7. Just because there's a lot to like here. There's a lot to like. The musicianship is top notch. The vocals are excellent, and there's some great melodies and some really solid songwriting here. It's just, it runs a bit long. There's unnecessary songs in here that kind of take away from the feeling of the core of the album, and so that's just where it kind of leaves you. Kind of leaves you with a mixed bag a little bit, and it's unfortunate because I was really really digging it. And still, at the end of the day, there's still a lot to like here, but just in my opinion, there's just some unnecessary baggage here. That just doesn't quite fit with the rest. But with all that being said, there's a lot of songs I really really like. Like I said, Solution Revolution, Columbus, Stairs of Ragusa is some of my favorites. Just really really great. If I were to give you one song to listen to, if you're like, hey, what's one song for me to listen to decide if I want to listen to the whole album or not, I would honestly say go with Stairs of Ragusa. I think that captures the feeling and the mood and the essence of the album, at least tracks 1 through 8, the best. So that would give you a good impression of what to expect on the album. And it's a really good song. So yeah, yeah, no, this is kind of a weird one here, but that's just my thoughts. But I do highly recommend, though, that y'all listen to the Solution Revolution. That's the song not to miss, in my opinion. And also check out Bumblebee, because it's just gnarly. And I dig it. I dig it big time. So I'd be curious to know what y'all think of that song Bumblebee, because it's an odd one, but oh, it's sick. It's tight. I love it. Anywho, that's what I got for y'all. Thanks for bearing with me here. Once y'all hear this album, come back and let me know what y'all thought of it. Do you agree with me, or do you think I am just an absolute buffoon and I don't know what the heck I'm talking about? Which is fair, but yeah, let me know either way. And thanks for tuning in as always. I'll catch y'all next time. Ranger.